Hello again, this is Lino Tados. In this part 2 of installing and upgrading Sitefinity 15.1, what I would like to show you is the best way and actually the preferred way to actually upgrading a Sitefinity website. So let's go ahead and get started. In part 1, I installed Sitefinity 15.1.8300, which is the official release at 5.15.1. And before I even start, there used to be a time where we wanted to upgrade a Sitefinity site. We used Visual Studio NuGet packages, and we used to upgrade from there. If you have Sitefinity 10.0 and above, that is no longer actually the preferred way of doing things. So try not to get into the habit of opening up Visual Studio, going to the NuGet package manager, and start upgrading the NuGet package. It will do it, and most of the time it will seem like it's working, but sometimes it will cause a problem because the web.config file does not get assembly dependency references set correctly for the new version. So I would recommend not to use that method anymore. Do not upgrade from one version to the other if you have Sitefinity 10 and above. Try to always use what we call the Sitefinity CLI to do the upgrade, and that does a very, very good job in changing the references in the web.config file. Any other way is problematic. So the first thing I wanted to show you is how to get to the CLI to install on your machine. So if you look, for instance, for the word GitHub, and we'll use Sitefinity, and we'll enter the word CLI, for instance. You'll notice it's the first one that will come up. Let's click on that. And in here, you have the entire source code for the Sitefinity command line interface. The CLI is right there. You don't need to install the source code unless, of course, you're interested in finding out how it was built and all that. What I usually go to is all the way on the right side in here where it says releases. If you click on releases, you'll notice all the different releases. The latest one is 11042. There is a 11044 is about to come up in the next few days. It doesn't matter which one, whether it's 4.2, 4.4, or in the future 50, is all good. Just go ahead and install. If you want the source code, that's fine. Most people will install the first one, the zip file that contains just the executable. Once you install that zip file on your machine, unzip it and put all the files that come inside of that zip file on a folder somewhere on your machine. In my case in here, I just wanted to show you how it looked for me. I went to my E drive. I created a folder called sf-cli. And whatever came out of that zip file that I downloaded, I put it all in here. So there is a lot of different files. The most important file, of course, in here, let me maximize this, is called sf.exe. That is the command line itself. Of course, you don't want to be always inside of this folder to make sf work, which is the command line interface. So it's a good idea to put this e:\sf CLI or whatever you installed it on your machine on your environment path. So go ahead to the system environment path and pass it, so you can do from the command line sf whatever anywhere on your hard drive and it will work, but it has to be on the path for it to see it. Make sense? All right, great. Let me go ahead and close this window in here. I'm going to also minimize my website for right now. And what I would like to do at this point is to bring back Visual Studio up again. I wanted to show you the problem that some people actually do, which is totally, I did the same mistake as well, so it's not a big deal. You right click on the name of the project for SF151 demo, and you can say manage NuGet packages, and you will go, for instance, to the Sitefinity package source that you created earlier, and then you will click on updates. And within a few seconds, you should be able to see all the different packages that she's loading. It will tell me that telerik.sitefinity.all is installed, but there is a newer version. So let me go ahead and look for telerik.sitefinity.all, and hopefully it will find it in here really quickly. And there will be something very important that we'll say next to it. You see, I have 15.1.8300. I can uninstall it if I click on the X, or I can upgrade to 8.3.2.1 from here. Try not to do it, folks. Alrighty, it's easy to click on this guy and say update, and most of the time it will be okay if you have pretty much first time you update this. But if you keep updating in the web.config file here at the bottom, all the way at the bottom in here, you'll notice these are all dependent assemblies in here. And if you do it this way, it usually sometimes it does not actually change the references. And that's not a problem with Sitefinity, by the way. That is a problem with Visual Studio NuGet packages being installed. And to be honest with you, it happens only with the .NET framework. If you're using .NET 8 or .NET 7, anything from the core, it does it very well. It's a completely different mechanism. But if you're using .NET Framework 4.8 or 4.7, it is known to have this problem, which is the web.config file does not get changed in a decent way, especially if you went from multiple upgrades before. So it goes really bad, unfortunately. So don't do it this way, even though you might be enticed to actually click on update and get it over with. It's not the right way to do it. And the documentation of Sitefinity, by the way, if you take a look closer, it will tell you if you have Sitefinity 10 and above and you're trying to upgrade to something later, do not do it this way. It needs to be done with the CLI, which does a much better job. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's go first of all and open up packages.config. Just to remind everybody, you can take a look at everything that's been installed on my machine in here. So if I go to the Telerik ones, in here, notice 15.1.8300. I'm going to come back after the upgrade just to make sure that the correct one got installed, the 15.1.8321. That's the one I'm interested in. So let me close this guy. And where do I go to do this? First of all, I can go ahead to my developer command line in here. I just want to say SF just to make sure it's working. That means it's on my path. We'll say run. And there you go. It did not come up with an error. It did find it, but it says you need to pass like an add or a config. And the one we're interested in is the SF upgrade to allow you to use the latest and greatest as well. So now we need to go ahead and open this up on our folder. So we'll say // You'll have to be in a folder that is a real Sitefinity web application. If I try to run it on a folder that does not have a Sitefinity web application in it, it will tell you like, there is nothing here that I can upgrade. This is not a Sitefinity site. So I'm going to say CD, what did we call it? We call it SF151 something, right? Demo, there you go. We'll say go there. Do a directory just to make sure, yep, these are all the files in there. We'll say CLS to clear all that stuff up. So I have a choice now with the latest and greatest of the CLI. I can upgrade the Sitefinity site by using the CS proj, which is the project file for Visual Studio itself, point to that. Or there's a great feature in the CLI, which is you can point to the solution, the SLN file. And the nice thing about the SLN file, a lot of times this is not the only project in the solution. Maybe you created your own assembly that has some widgets in it, or you created some code that does data connectors against something else. So you might actually have a solution that have 3 or 4 different projects in it. One for the site, for the site of Sitefinity itself, another project maybe for reporting, another one for widgets, and so on. So if you point to the SLN file, believe it or not, it will not only upgrade to the latest version of your website, but all the other projects that use Sitefinity as well, that have references to Sitefinity, will be upgraded to the latest one. We usually used to have to do that one by one, but now it will do a great job to do that. All right, so what is the syntax? SF, like I said, space, and then it's called upgrade. That is the command name, space. And now I'm going to be putting the location of where my Sitefinity project is at. So even though I'm in the folder called SF15.1 demo, I cannot bypass this. I cannot just say, wherever I am, find a solution. No, you will need to tell it what the name of the solution is. And the solution, let's open up, for instance, the storage E, and there is my SF15. The name of the solution is SF15.1 demo.sln. That is the file I'm interested in. So I'm going to come in here and we'll say // and we'll say SF151 push space tab, and it will fill it up for you. And / we'll say SF151 demo, push enter. That is the CS project. I don't want to do that, although this will work because I don't have any other projects, but always try to push for the SLN file so you don't have to do this multiple times on multiple projects. If I actually push a space in here, I need to tell it which version, so in double quotes in here, I need to tell it which version I want it to go to, okay? Because there are a lot of different versions and you might not want to go to the latest and greatest. Maybe there is a specific version you want to upgrade to first. So I'm going to say 15.1.8321. That is the latest one as of the recording of this video. All right, let's go ahead and see if this will work. We'll say go for it. Make sure to have your projects under source control, because once I do this, you are out of my hand. All right, we'll say yes, I understand, go for it. And it's going to start doing all that stuff. It might take a few, maybe a couple of minutes, but it will do it very well. The nice thing about this is at the end, the web.config file, all the assembly reference will be done correctly based on the packages.config file as well. That is the part that we need to do it this way to make sure we don't suffer with it later on as well. I'm going to come back after it's done, adjusting and creating and deleting and doing whatever it needs to do to make this right, especially the web.config file. And indeed, it took just a couple of minutes, and notice the last line successfully installed all of these packages in here for Telerik Web and Telerik Sitefinity Twitterizer and a lot of other things as well. So it definitely did a pretty good job installing everything. It took a while. It's still installing other things as well. We'll give it a few more seconds, but it's almost done at this point. Do you accept the terms and conditions? We'll say yes. And by the way, you can silence that as well by accept the terms as one of the parameters being passed, but it's okay. I will come in here and say yes as well. We'll say yes. And it will finish up. And now it's done. As you can see in here, the package management console in here finished. And if I want to make sure that this actually did work correctly, open up package.config in here for a second. And take a look, for instance, when it goes to the Telerik Sitefinity in here. Oh, I need to probably reload. Let me go ahead and reload that. All right, I had to reload, but notice here everything has been done. It usually takes a few minutes for the SF upgrade CLI to do a pretty good job. But after you reload, for instance, if you go open up my packages.config, go down a little bit and you will notice that it doesn't say 15.1.8300 anymore. It says 83.2.1. But you have to be patient. It does take a few minutes to finish, especially all the way at the bottom for the web.config file. If I go all the way down at the bottom, these are done correctly now for the assembly references for the dependency and so on. So that is definitely the way you should go about it. Let me go ahead and close all of this and run it just to make sure everything has been upgraded correctly. We'll say run. Notice during the first run it found out that we upgraded to A321, so the first thing the system will do will upgrade the database as well. So we'll give it a couple of minutes to finish the database upgrade. And after a couple of minutes, it will say upgrade to Sitefinity 15.1 A321 is successful. Now we can go to the site and you can see our home page with no problem. And there we go. And just to make sure, you always want to go back to the Sitefinity backend by saying /Sitefinity. After you log in, go to the administration, bring down the version number and the licensing just to make sure that you are running on the latest and greatest with no errors or anything else happening after the upgrade. Excellent. Let me go back here to the main dashboard. We'll go over the pages, and then from the administration, go down to what it says version and licensing. And if we've done our job right, it should say A321. Yeah, it is A321. So we are in pretty good shape, and it was successful. Hopefully this part 1 and part 2 videos were easy for you to follow and understand what's the best way and actually the recommended way. Otherwise, you're looking for trouble when you're trying to upgrade Sitefinity 10 and above. You have to really use the Sitefinity CLI to do that. Have a great one, and I'll see you soon in another video from the Training Boss. Thank you.